Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Mythic Uncle Sam, and not a character we've had in the game before. Visually on the right hand side you can see he is going to be draped in the stars and stripes. It's kind of interesting here. He has got very nice weaponry as well. That's a rocket launcher just on his back, you know, casually just carrying around a rocket launcher. You know how it goes. He has got a default rifle, so he is a tough character, but he doesn't look like he's going to have an attached weapon. We will check that out later on in the video. On the left hand side we can see quite a familiar style of art when it comes to Uncle Sam, as perhaps you may know him better, is pointing at you, you know, the whole "we want you" thing. But you know, this is obviously just a little gimmick character, because it is going to be the 4th of July, which is the Independence Day in America, and this is, I guess, this is RTS. Well, Scope Please celebration of it within RTS. We can see as a grade 5, level 600, Gold Mythic. He has got 11,515 attack, 13,983 defense, and 15,628 HP. He is a tough character. He's considered a support character, which we'll get into later. That's going to be quite interesting. He is a mythic character, of course, and his allegiance is the Hilltop, which is actually kind of surprising, because I don't think he's actually like a genuine character from the game. I'm pretty sure he's not, you know, from the TWD universe. So he's been added to the Hilltop as his allegiance. So, like I say, fairly interesting. Now, first of all, we'll check out his Adrenaline Rush, and we can see it is called 4th of July. 66 AP cost. This character heals by 50% of their max HP for 4 turns. Then, when battling on the defense team, one enemy gets 50% of this character's max HP in burn damage for 2 turns. So, obviously a great deal of damage on that second half, but a huge amount of healing in that first half. Very, very interesting rush in terms of what it's going to be bringing to the table. Now, while he may be a 66 AP character, he's not really going to rush that quickly, and that's obviously because of other parts of his kit where you may have already noticed. It means he's not going to rush super quick, but when he does, he's going to heal so much. 50% of his max HP every turn for 4 turns. It's 200% HP over 4 turns is nuts. And then obviously when he's on a defense team, he's going to be dealing 50% of his HP in burn damage, and that is going to be one of the stats that he stacks, because he's more of a defense team character and he's going to rely on HP and defense. So that's going to be easily, like right now, from like the top level rosters, you can get to 50k HP without too much of a problem. So he's going to be doing 25k burn damage. Now the big downside of this in my mind is, because it can only be used on a defense team, it does also mean that you can't use it on Conquest. And this would have been awesome on Conquest, in my mind. 50% burn damage, and you know, you could have potentially had a burn bleed team or just a complete burn team. Uncle Sam would have been able to get off that 25k burn, like turn 3, and you could have had a Dwight Abraham doing the other burn early on, and then obviously Abraham could have doubled that up to like 50k burn. So it could have been really nice, but it is going to be pretty annoying, I'm going to be honest, when it comes to facing Uncle Sam on defense teams, no doubt. Okay, so we are on the rush turn for Uncle Sam here. We have got some Guardian Shields up. I'm going to hit defend on Alice in just a second, but if it does hit someone on a Guardian Shield, it's not going to block the burn. Now just check out Uncle Sam's HP. Right now it's just about 50%. If we hit defend, he will rush. He will fully heal himself, because he'll go up, well, he'll nearly fully heal himself, but he'll gain 50% straight away. And you can see he's got a 3-turn 50% HP buff. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that Cal did actually get that burn, and it bypassed the Guardian Shield, like I said. You know, that's going to be quite good on these support characters that would normally stop your damage dealers from getting damaged. Guardian Shields and Bodyguards, well, it's not going to work with this heavy burn here. Now, it might only be 7.5k burn right now, but remember, it's based off of his HP. However high you get his HP, 50% of that number will then be done in burn damage. Right now, he's only got his base HP, because I haven't given him any HP bonuses. So this is the minimum you're going to get it to if you do get him to completely maxed out at level 600. But if you add Lieutenant System into that, mods, weaponry that's going to boost his HP, and leaders, you can easily get that HP up to 50k, like I said before, and that burn's going to do significantly more damage. I'm not really going to be able to raise the HP of my attack team that much more, maybe just lieutenant system, and that's only going to generally add like another 5, maybe 6,000. My Sandy, without any HP boost, has around about 22k HP right now. She's only going to be able to survive 1 tick of this burn. So the potential of this rush does actually look pretty good once it does go off, and like I said before, it's not going to go off super quick, super often, but when it does, it's going to be very problematic in taking him down and also taking some of your characters down on attack teams. If you look at the skill upgrades on this, the grade 2 upgrade is going to be an extra 25% healing. So initially it will be 25%, and then obviously it will just be an extra 25% on top to make it 50%. At grade 4, it will be an extra 25% burn damage. Again, initially it'll only be 25% burn, and then it will get boosted up to 50%. Once you limit break this character, you'll get an extra turn of burn. So straight away it is going to be 2 turns, but once he is limit broken, you can get up to 3 turns. And like I said, the HP of attack team characters is not super high, and once burn does take out a character, remember it always passes to an adjacent character, so potentially could take out 3 characters depending on the HP of the attack team, and that's going to be very problematic. And if you did have a character that could potentially survive this somehow for 2 turns, it's going to be very unlikely they're going to be able to survive it for 3. You know, that's up to like 75k damage. Not many attack team characters, not many characters at all, are going to have that sort of HP. So his rush looks pretty good. Let's see what the signature move has to offer. It is called Government Protection. Initial cooldown of turn 2. Cooldown of 4 turns, number of uses unlimited. This character gets 50% defense for 4 turns. All adjacent teammates get camouflage for 4 turns. So the defense boost is nice. It's going to work very nicely with the rest of his kit. It will multiply with certain aspects of his kit as well, which we will look at later. The all adjacent teammates get camouflage for 4 turns. Now, he is not a leader, so he's not really going to be able to give it to the whole team unless someone did try and sacrifice their leader bonus to make it so that everyone got the camouflage. But the leader bonus is generally quite significant, but unless you've got extremely powerful characters around him, most people are going to keep a leader. So a lot of the time he's only going to give the camouflage to 2 characters, and you, if you do get your hands on this character, would be able to dictate who those characters would be. So whoever he would be next to in the team, you know, in the line, would always get it, and then the leader would always get it as well. So you might want to protect certain characters on your defense team more than others. For instance, if you've got a governor on your team, he's not someone you really want to protect. Him taking damage is not too much of a big deal. Same with someone like Morgan. You'd actually kind of want him to take damage. Whereas if you've got characters that are medics, you do not want them to take damage as much. You want them to survive. You want them to get their heals off, their revives off. So those are the sort of characters that you could put next to Uncle Sam just to keep them a little bit more safe. And this is kind of what I mean by that. I put the medic in Erica next to Uncle Sam so that when he does his signature move on turn 2, he will obviously camo her. He will automatically camo the leader, no matter who it is, Ezekiel, whoever the leader is, whoever got the leader is. Now I'm going to just do an attack on Uncle Sam just to normalize him. We know he's a specialist. We don't want the specialist popping off too quickly. We want to see some other stuff first. And what we'll do is we'll just hit the defend action this time around. And you'll see him use his signature move. We're going to have some people just get absolutely destroyed in the meantime. We'll see his signature move come in. And you can see the 2 characters around him have got camouflage for 4 turns. He has got defense for 4 turns. And that's basically how it's going to work when he's in the corner. If you did put him in the center, and I can see some people trying it out. There is potential for trying that out. This camouflage would then go up to the 4 characters if they were still alive on the defense team, not just the 2. However, obviously, that'll be down to you and whether you think it would be worth sacrificing the defense or HP bonuses that some of these defense leaders can give at the moment. I personally wouldn't think it would be worth it just yet, but you never know. Long term in the future, there could be a point where it's actually kind of a decent team you can make with Uncle Sam as the leader, but not getting any leader bonuses just to get bonuses from that camouflage. I mean, there is a potential long term, but I don't think there is right now. But unless you've got like all the big promos like Razzo, Connor, and you know, all these guys, I think most people will not use him as a leader. If we look at the skill upgrade, you can see at grade 3 he gets -1 cooldown. So instead of it being a 5-turn cooldown, it is going to be a 4-turn cooldown. And at grade 5 he gets the starting cooldown reduction to turn 2, and that means he would get a natural sort of progression normally, where it would be like turn 1 basic attack, turn 2 signature move, turn 3 rush. But because he's not going to do basic attacks off the first turn, because of that specialist skill, which I know you guys have seen, he's not going to get a natural turn 3 rush unless he gets attacked. So his natural rush turn is probably going to be somewhere in the region of turn 4+ most of the time. It could even be up to like turn 6, just based on him maybe needing to do his second signature move to get it done. But obviously there are going to be characters that are going to make that specialist skill not happen as often. But we'll get into the specialist skill a little bit later on. Let's move on to the passives. And generally speaking, passives do make a big difference on how good a mythic character is going to be. We know this character's majority of the time going to be used on a defense team just because of the rush is kind of pushing you in that direction. You know, other parts of his kit are going to push you mainly in that direction. It doesn't mean you can't use him on other, teams, but mainly it's going to be that. If we look at his mythic abilities, these are the passives, like I say. He has got cunning, and this is what he's getting from his role. Instead of him being a tank, he's going to get cunning, and we'll talk about this a bit more in detail later on in the video, but this is going to make it less likely for things like double attack to work, for stun on attack to work. So any slot 3s, basically, those are less likely to trigger. If you do get him to limit broken, that's a 30% reduction. I'm pretty sure it's a flat reduction as well, which is like, it says, when it says 30%, it actually means like 90% in a lot of cases, because most stun on attack weapons, for instance, have like a 33% chance to work, whereas a flat 30% reduction on that would mean they've got a 3% chance to work. If you've used these characters on conquest stages, you've had to restart stages over and over and over again sometimes, because the stun's just not proccing at all on certain characters, and that is because they're support characters that are limit broken, and that's going to be the same case here with Uncle Sam. Now he has got another one called, when this character starts their turn, 80% chance to remove focus from up to 5 enemies. That is obviously nuts, because other parts of his kit that makes him extremely powerful when it comes to being used on a defense team, without a doubt. The next one is called A Nation Divided. When attacked, one enemy gets minus 20% attack for 1 turn. So obviously if you focus him, one enemy is going to get a minus 20% attack. We'll see if it's the character that actually focuses him, like if it's the person that attacks him, or it could just be a random other enemy, which could actually be obviously bad, because if it's the character that attacks him, it doesn't actually mean much, because it will wear off by the time their next turn comes around. But if it goes to another character, obviously that's going to be significant, because it could go to another damage dealer that you're going to line up some damage with. The next one is going to be the big one. When attacked, this character heals by 10% of their max HP. You might have noticed that in some of the previous clips where he was just gaining HP. When I was initially testing this character, I was like, damn, what weapon have I got on this guy? This is sick. But it's actually the passive, and it is really, really powerful. That just means that if you just do any sort of attacks, multi-hit attacks, if you hit him with Sandy with her signature move, for instance, he's going to heal by 30% of his HP. So you have to make sure that you actually do more damage than that. This is going to be problematic, to say the least. And if people gear him out with the right resist mods, I think, Burn and Bleed are going to be quite important to get through this guy. He's going to be very, very hard to take down for sure. Okay, so we're going to come up against Uncle Sam again just by himself. And this is just to show you how certain parts of his kit work. We're going to attack with Alice. You're going to see him heal himself up by 10% of his max HP straight away. But let's see who gets the minus 20% attack. Is it going to be Alice? It's random, so it did go to Bruce. That means obviously when I follow up with Bruce's damage, his damage is reduced. This time it did go to Alice, so I kind of got away with it in that circumstance. Like if one of the other characters I needed to attack with, I attack now, they're going to get their full damage now. If you have got taunted characters and this character's on the defense team, they're most likely going to attack this character over the character that has actually taunted them. So these 2 debuffs could go on to characters when you actually don't want anyone to attack in the first place. You can see his HP is still pretty max, just because even if I do like 3k damage, he's going to heal up 10% of his damage. He's already healed up 30%, and you can see he's not really taken that much damage. Even though I've done more than 50% of his HP in damage, he's not really taken that much damage. And that's just with basic attacks. So with multi-hit rushes, obviously he's going to be able to stack defense. It doesn't matter how much damage he takes. So if, let's say he takes 2 damage, for whatever reason your character's got massive minus attack, he's got big plus defense, which he can definitely get off of that signature move and other parts of his kit. He would still gain 10% HP even if he only took like 0.1% damage. It doesn't matter how much damage he takes. The only thing that is not going to work when it comes to proccing this is things like burn and bleed. They will not make him heal himself. So that is, like I say, the kind of obvious counter to that, but it's so obvious that I think a lot of people are going to try and, gear him out to stop that from happening. So all of these seem to work quite well for a defense team. We'll get straight into the upgrades. You can see at grade 1, Cry of Freedom is actually going to be Cry of Freedom 1. When this character starts their turn, 40% chance to remove focus from up to 5 enemies. This is obviously going to be great. I didn't test out in the video, but you know how it works with just characters losing focus. We have got other characters in the game that already do that. Morgan, for instance, already does that as a 100% chance to move from 3 on his signature move. Cunning 1 at grade 2, a Nation Divided at grade 3. At grade 4 it is going to be the heal, so you don't actually have to get him to grade 5 to get that self-heal, which is actually kind of interesting, seeing as that is like seen as the best part of his kit when it comes to the passive. It's the most expensive part of his kit. But the actual most expensive one is Cry of Freedom 2, and this does obviously stack with Cry of Freedom 1, where it goes to 80% chance to remove focus for up to 5 enemies. So, this kind of counters Negan Leaders, without a doubt. He will, of course, get Limit Broken, and you can get Cunning 2, and that does stack with Cunning 1. It goes up to 30%, and like I said, it is a flat reduction. So, very, very powerful. It's going to be quite hard to take this guy down, I think. I think this is going to be quite hard to take this down. It's going to be hard to control him. I think it's just fortunate that he's not like a Frost, where he's also got some like hidden revive on his kit, because that would have been absolutely infuriating. And why would I compare him to Frost? I don't know. Why would I compare him to Frost? It could be, as you've probably seen already, and as I probably said in the title of the video, because it is just such a standout thing, he is going to be the first human shield within the Gold Mythic era. You can see, while this character is defending, all attacks from human enemies may only target them, and the only way to get past that is with focus. And at the beginning of his turn, he has an 80% chance to remove focus from up to 5 enemies, which is kind of nuts, honestly. 80% chance is high, and the fact that if it does it, it's just going to remove it from everyone. There are not many focus sources right now, not like we did have in the S-Class era, where we had a couple of free-to-play characters that gave out focus, like Ivanova and Eren. So yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Okay, so this is how Human Shield works. Most of you will likely know anyway. When the character defends, you can see that he's getting a 50% defense bonus because it has just used the defend action, and it's automatic on a Human Shield. They will always defend unless they can rush or use their signature move. Otherwise, it's going to be basically this sort of scenario. They will do a shield against everybody on the team. It isn't just about adjacent. I'm just showing you him as the leader right now, because I also want to show you the camouflage work to everybody, because I'm sure some people will just want to, clarification that it actually works. He should use his signature move right now, and he is, and you can see the camouflage went to everybody. This is just a confirmation. Now, he will not use his human shield this turn, and this is where you'll get access to some of those other characters, but we'll just hit the defend action again on everybody, and what will happen is he'll defend again, but watch, it will actually stack with the current bonus he's getting on defense. So he should get a higher defense bonus, and it goes up to a 125% defense bonus. And this can just show you what I was talking about before, where he can take even more reduced damage and still heal that 10%. So he's taking 400 damage, and he's just automatically healing up. He did take a crit there, which is nearly more than 10% of his HP. Remember, right now he has got no bonuses, so he's going to obviously get more powerful as time goes on. And he didn't even heal 10% of his HP there, because he didn't take that much damage. So yeah, problematic. It does last for a lot of turns as well. As you can see, he's still got 2 turns on that initial buff of 50% from his signature move. And if he removes focus from 5 enemies, how do I get through that? How do I get the other characters? I'm gonna have to go through the shield, which is not a fun way to go. And generally speaking, how I've always dealt with shields is to try and control them or bypass them and leave them till last. He's going to be hard to bypass because of that passive, and he's going to be hard to control because of his role. This is going to be very frustrating. I think signature move controls are going to be so important. We don't really have too many that are going to work off of turn 1, and by the time turn 2 comes around, he's obviously, you know, for your attack team, he's obviously going to be already shielding, and the problem's already going to be starting for you when it comes to attacking against this character. So you just got to hope, guys. You got to really hope that you can figure out a way to deal with this guy on defense teams. Now, he has not got an attached weapon like we talked about before, but as you've probably seen in the battle pass, there is a perfect weapon that can slot into his hands right now. And that is this weapon right here. All you'd have to do is put HP on it instead of the large AP when taking damage. And this is going to be so good in his hands, it's nuts. Because he's not a tank, he's not going to block crits. If you crit against him, he will still heal his 10%, but he'll daze the character that actually does the attack. That's going to stop controlling signature moves, which is going to be really powerful. Obviously, Elusive Impair is a no-brainer on a tough character, especially a tough shield. So you basically just want to add 30% HP and raise that HP up to 40%. Unless you had a weapon that was already had daze and Elusive Impair and better stats, generally that's the way I would do it myself. And when that weapon initially came out, I did say I think that weapon has really high potential if a human shield ever comes out that's tough. And well, here we are, guys. Here we are. So that's Gold Mythic Uncle Sam, and I can see this guy being an extremely big problem. Like I said, I think the way, you know, I'm trying to think of ways to deal with this guy because he's going to be extremely easy to use. I don't think he's going to be too difficult to use. You just have to get him to as high stat as possible. That does mean, obviously, getting the second Gold Mythic or getting him limit broken, using all your medals on him. He's definitely a bronze medal candidate in terms of how much stats just is going to be much more useful on him. He just needs to survive. He just needs to survive, and he has got really good survivability within his own kit. You know, self-sustain on his rush. He's got self-sustain on his passive, which is really important for defense team characters. And, well, yeah, he's going to have really high defense as well, so he's going to take very little damage. I mean, basically just like, I think it's going to be burn, bleed are going to be really important to take this guy out. Like I say, signature move controls, because weapon controls are not going to be as effective. Yeah, guys, yeah, problems are coming. We'll have to figure out a way to deal with this guy for sure, but he's going to be very powerful if you do get him on your roster. He will work on attack teams too, so for instance on Conquest, he will still work on those stages. He will get a defense bonus as well, but I mean, it's kind of interesting. If he got 50k HP, he's going to heal 5k every time you attack him, but Conquest stages generally do so much damage. He possibly could work just to keep some of your other damage dealers alive, so there is potential for him there, but I really couldn't tell you if it's going to work there just because Conquest is kind of nuts. But yeah, overall, I think that Uncle Sam is going to be a very good character. If you did get him on your defense team, he's going to work pretty much in any team. He's an enabler. He makes any other character stronger because he gives them a bit of, you know, an extra turn generally to survive, and that's very powerful in the Mythic era. Very powerful indeed. But do leave me your thoughts on Gold Mythic Uncle Sam in the comments down below. That is going to be the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.